Well, ladies and gentlemen, so today we're going to be doing a very unique special video. And today's video is on Bhavat Bhavam / house perspective. And what this video simply means is that how you can judge each aspect of your life just by looking at your chart. Now, yeah, of course you can. That's what the horoscope is for, right? No. What I mean is this. How can you judge what your spouse's life will be like, what your children's life will be like, what your grandchildren's life will be like, what your siblings' life is like, without ever looking at their chart? That's what this video is. And this video will be far more helpful if I discussed Bhavat Bhavam concept with you guys. So that's something that I will do first, is to tell you what Bhavat Bhavam is, and then we'll actually go into details of looking at each person in your life and their life matters just from your own chart. Okay? And as always, if you do not know what your planetary alignments are, where each planet is placed, what sign, nakshatra, house they're in, what mahadasha you're going through, for that, check out the links here. And check out my full astrological report, including my books, Astrology, Conjunction and Aspects of the Speed of Light, including my new magazine on destiny and careers, at this link here. And yes, I know, we're finally done with our nakshatra series. And so what I'm simply doing now is like cool videos, right? You guys wanted cool videos, so we're doing that. And then I was going to do the 3 planetary conjunction today, but I was going to make this particular video on Saturday or Sunday, and then I didn't do it because I was busy preparing for my daughter's birthday party. So all the preparation all the time went into that preparation. And then, so Thursday I'm going to start on my 3 planetary conjunction, but today I just thought I would give you a little bit of, something unique, something different after a long time of break. So let's get started. So what is Bhavat Bhavam, first of all? And I'm just wondering if I ever discussed this with you guys before. I feel like I have discussed this somehow, but I'll talk about it again. Bhavat Bhavam is a house-to-house concept through which you can see other levels and progression of that particular house. Like for instance, 3rd house in horoscope is a house of siblings, younger siblings, creativity, arts, skills of hands, your intelligence, your ability to comprehend things around you. But then Bhavat Bhavam, what it means, you count just as many places from that particular house to understand the next level of that house. Meaning 3rd house, I just told you what it represents. The Bhavat Bhavam of 3rd house is the 5th house, because it's 3rd from the 3rd. So 5th house becomes the house of creativity, arts, media, stage performance, intelligence. Why? Because it's the house of education. So that's what Bhavat Bhavam is. Then let's do it another one. 3rd house represents your younger siblings. But let's say you've got 4 younger siblings. Not everybody will be living the same life. So you can't just look at the 3rd house for all siblings, all younger siblings. So what do? 3rd house is younger siblings. Bhavat Bhavam of the 3rd house is the 5th house. That represents the 2nd younger sibling. Bhavat Bhavam from the 5th house, meaning 3rd from the 5th house, is the 7th house. 7th house represents the 3rd younger sibling. Then the 9th house, which is 3rd from the 7th house, represents the 4th younger sibling. So this is how you will be judging each aspect of your younger siblings. Same thing we can do with the mother. So your house of mother is the 4th house. Then what is the 4th from the 4th? It's the 7th house. That's the house of your grandmother. 5th house. 5th house is our children. It's basic. This is Astrology 101. 5th house represents the house of children. Then what represents 5th from the 5th? Fifth house, from the fifth house is the ninth house, which is what? Grandchildren. It's the children of children. So that is seen from the grandchildren. Then if you want to see children of the grandchildren, that would be the first house, which is you. So this triangle will always go generation to generation to generation. So like for the Bhavad Bhavam of the first house will always be the first house. There is no Bhavad Bhavam for that. First from the first is first. However, which is the house of wealth? Second house. Second house represents money, wealth, earnings. Second from the second will represent the fruits of that house. The wealth of that house is coming from the second from itself. So each house has its wealth point. So second from the second is what? The third house. It's the third house that we see for your earnings and the potential of your earnings. Why? Because third house is efforts. So okay, fine. Second house represents your wealth. You have a lot of wealth. How is this wealth coming from? You look at the third house. Where are the efforts being put? So this is Bhavat Bhavam concept. Seventh house is your spouse. Opposite of the, like first house is you, seventh house is your spouse. So first and seventh will always go back and forth, back and forth. What does that mean? And this is a pretty, confusing subject for many people in astrology, and especially Vedic astrology, when they say, okay, you're going to get married. The first marriage is seen from the seventh house, second marriage is seen from the second house, third marriage is seen from the ninth house. But in my own experience, your seventh house is always the spouse that you end up with. Sure, we may look at the timing through the second house, but you will always somehow end up with women or men that your seventh house represents, that your Venus represents, that your Jupiter represents as the husband. Somehow you're always attracted to these people no matter what. I know this in my own life. All the people that I've had relationships with in my life, they were kind of similar patterns, similar family situations, similar professions. So we always end up with the same thing. Now, previously, you may have ended up with a little bit bad side of that thing. Finally, you ended up with the good side of that thing. That's all it is. So this is Bhavat Bhavam concept. Like if you want to look at your career, okay? That's the second house. Second from the second is the third house, which represents the efforts, as I mentioned. 10th house represents government, father. 10th house represents your reputation. 10th from the 10th becomes the 7th house, which shows that how the reputation of the spouse is going to be, and after marriage, how your reputation is going to enhance. But what is this house perspective astrology? How does that comes into play? Well, just like I was saying earlier, that we can read how people in our lives and how their lives are like through just from our own chart. And I kind of did this before. Just back in 2007 or 8, I was trying to learn this and do this. And I'm like, that's kind of biased though. Because I already know my siblings' life patterns. I already know my mother's life patterns. I know my father's life patterns. And somehow, some way, my brain will connect it. Because that's how I know. And that's what we sometimes do in astrology. Because we may know something about the person, we already automatically say, oh, this is how it must have happened. Yeah, this is what's going on. So I kind of didn't really believe in it in that time. I'm like, I don't know. But then I tried it on other people. So it kind of worked. But then I'm like, you know what, let me just see. Let me experiment this again. So I kind of was like, you know what, this is how my wife life is going to be like. She's going to be this, this, and this. And one thing I definitely told myself that she might be from family of farmers or engineers. And that's where she's from. Her family owns a farm. And dad was an engineer turned farmer. So that's once I learned that, I'm like, okay, this thing works. So house concept simply is If you want to read how your spouse's life is going to be like, don't worry about the Namansha chart, don't worry about any individual charts, nothing. All you have to do is your 7th house is your spouse. Just simply turn that around and make the 7th house the ascendant. And then read the chart from the 7th house. And you will see what's happening with her siblings, what's happening with the family, what's happening with the mother, what's happening with her children or your children, what's happening with her work. All of these things can be seen from the 7th house. Who's calling me? If one of you are calling me right now, I'm going to kick your ass. Because this is the time when I film. Okay, anyway. So, that's how you read that. Let's say you want to understand the life of your sibling, your younger sibling, the first younger sibling. All you do is take the 3rd house, make that the ascendant. And then it's like the planets will switch into their own particular houses. Once you make the 3rd house the ascendant, each planet will settle into certain house. And then you can read, okay, so my younger sibling's life is this. His family is this, his relationship with the father is this, his relationship with the mother is this. Because sometimes one sibling has a great relationship with the father. One completely hates the father. One adores the mother, one cannot stand the mother. So if the first younger sibling has a great relationship with the father, look at it from the perspective of the 3rd house. Make the 3rd house the ascendant, look at the position of the sun, look at the position of the 10th house and the 9th house. If you want to look at the second younger sibling, see how their life is in their relationship in their life, what their career is. Take the 5th house, make that the ascendant. And 5th house will also tell you the life of your children. How they are going to be with their mother, with their father. How their career is going to be. And one thing you will notice, the second younger sibling and your children will have the same life pattern. Because I've seen this in my own family. I don't have any younger siblings, but I have seen, early on in my days and through other people. So whenever, like, you guys do marriage consultation with me, and I tell you guys, you will get along with your father-in-law, you may not get along with your mother-in-law, your husband's going to have this profession, or your wife is going to have this profession, your wife is going to be a lover of writing, yet she's going to be doing this. All I'm doing is I'm looking at the 7th house and I'm looking at the perspective from that house. Like your father-in-law. Your father-in-law is seen from the 3rd house. It's seen from the 3rd house because 9th house. So your father-in-law, where would you see your father-in-law? Well, in Vedic astrology, especially me, I look at the 10th house as the relationship with the father, 9th house as the teaching of a senior elderly person in the family or your gurus, which is also the father. So simultaneously, 9th and 10th kind of becomes this awkward angle of father. So for father-in-law, you want to either look at the 3rd house or the 4th house. And that will be the house of your father-in-law. That will be the situations of the father-in-law running. And and the reason I'm saying to look at both, because you will see both qualities coming alive. From my 3rd and 4th house, it shows an engineer and a farmer as a father-in-law. So that's what he is. Well educated, and he's just crazy good when it comes to measuring things and doing things. But mother-in-law is directly opposite of your mother. 4th house is your mother. 7th from the 4th house, or directly opposite of the 4th house, is the mother of your spouse, mother-in-law. So look at the 10th house as definitely the house of your mother-in-law. So if you want to see how your mother-in-law life is like, make the 10th house, turn it around and look at it. And when I did that, it made all that sense with my chart, because my mother-in-law is a teacher. And you could see it, why she's a teacher. So all of these things, these are house perspective. What house do you want to deal with? You want to see the life of your boss. Let's say you have bosses. That's the 10th house, authorities. The kind of government, under the kind of government you'll be living in, look at the 10th house. Make the 10th house your ascendant. See the kind of situation the government in your life is going to be running into. Again, So you want to see how your guru's life is going to be, your teachers, professors, spiritual teachers. Ninth house, make that the ascendant and read from every aspect. Okay, well, this is his earnings. This is how he's going to deal with his siblings, his kids, his wife. So that's how it just makes things a lot easier. No need to use divisional charts. No need to use anything. It's like, they say, keep it simple, stupid. That's what it is. The more you make astrology simple and not get all complicated with these, especially these Vedic astrological calculations, you start to understand life. Because you know what? Life is simple. Life is not complicated. It's simple. And that's what this is. So this is why I wanted to tell you about the Bhavat Bhavam and the house. Because how would you know about looking at the chart of your second younger sibling versus the first? So this is why it becomes important, the Bhavat Bhavam concept. Okay. So guys, this is my little video on judging each person's life in your horoscope through your own horoscope without ever looking at their horoscope. So if you're new to my channel, subscribe below because you're going to be seeing a lot of this cool video. And again, if you want to know what chart planetary alignments your chart is, so you can see everybody else's perspective from your own chart, for that check out the links here and check out my full astrological report, my books and consultations at this link here. Otherwise, we'll see you on Thursday with the first 3 planetary conjunction video of Sun, Moon and Mercury. Otherwise, sayonara.